Being obsessed with the creature had led Victor to isolate himself from former relationships, such as family and friends. Isolation, for obvious reason, is something very dangerous. When Victor is isolated from his friends and family, he is very ill. And when he's finally back with them, he is no longer as ill. It is shown also that Victor is aware of this. During my first experiment, a kind of enthusiastic frenzy has blinded me into the horror of my employment. But now I went in cold blood. Immersed in a solitude, my spirits became unequal. I grew restless and nervous. Victor is aware of the isolation is causing him pain, but he does not care as he is too obsessed with ridding himself of the creature by creating its mate and of creating life in the first aspect. Now, it is shown that Victor, when reconnected with friends, heals dramatically, as the only time he is actually physically healed is when he is with Henry. But I was in reality very ill, and surely nothing but the unbounded, unrelenting attention of my friend could have restored me to life. I recovered. Here he is healed by Henry, showing that working on the experiment led him to have obsessive tendencies, which led him to isolate himself even more, and which obviously led to many health issues. Now, these health issues are highlighted by the study in Antarctica that was recently done, where 9 scientists willingly isolated themselves in Antarctica. Now, this was very striking because prior to the actual experiment, they knew the possible dangers going in, as they had done the experiment on animals and saw that the animals who had gone through the experiment were less likely to remember things and to be able to learn new things. So, for several winter months, the researchers' station is shrouded in continual darkness and entirely cut off from the outside world. The brain scan completed at the end of the 14-month expedition revealed an area of the hippocampus called the dentate gyrus has shrunk in all subjects. Basically, in short, this means that the 9 scientists were directly physically affected by their isolation, and which means that Victor, being isolated alone for around the same amount of times at times, was probably affected in a similar way. Both of these scientists went in for Victor multiple times, for these scientists only once, knowing the possible effects, but still continued on with their science for the simple data of it all. In conclusion, Mary Shelley's book Frankenstein shows how easy it is for scientists to fall into obsession and how detrimental it can be to their health. Science has changed a lot since the 1880s, but Mary Shelley shows that obsession is still the same, as Mary Shelley's book is still very prevalent to this day. This is shown in the many different aspects of Victor's obsession, with his obsession shown as intrusive thoughts compared to Phil Kennedy's intrusive thoughts and dangerous experiment, to Victor Frankenstein's emotional states, compared to scientists these days being very, very stressed out and very depressed, leading them to take their own life. And finally, Victor Frankenstein's willing isolation can even be very easily compared to a case of scientists in Antarctica's willing isolation just for simple data. This shows that despite Shelley's best efforts to warn scientists, science is still a dangerously easy area of study to obsess over, and this is a detriment of the scientist's health. And it is very unfortunate today that there are still some scientists being hurt by this.